believe he was just trying to convince me to do this naked?
Well, I mean, you've got to ask.
We'd lose all our subscribers apart from anything else.
Well, you get me subscribing. I haven't subscribed yet.
You've already subscribed.
Yeah, I haven't. Sharp Objects, episode 5, entitled Closer. Can I just say, we forgot to mention episode 3, I think it was, the word ripe. Do you remember? We were really annoyed with ourselves. We did
and
the
then
review.
2 days later, out of nowhere, I said to Mark, oh my God, we didn't discuss what we thought. You smell ripe.
The mother said that.
And Mark went, I know, it's been driving me mad as well. We've been on our own separate
It was a
hells.
massive omission that I will never forgive us for.
But I still don't know what it means.
What, ripe?
No, I didn't know what the suggestion was. Okay, so we think that the mum might be a lesbian. We think
I thought that she was suggesting that everything that comes with the ripe fruit, which is it's damaged. So ripe, it's damaged.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah.
I thought it meant ripe for sex.
Well, all
She
of those
horrified.
connotations.
She looked horrified. Because don't forget, I think the mother is a child abuser.
First things first, we watched this episode with subtitles for the first 2 parts. Then they mysteriously disappeared. Sky, Q, why, how, we don't understand. We didn't change anything.
But it was a great help. Because if you've watched
help.
our previous reviews on this episode, we've had to keep rewinding the whole time to try and pick up what they're saying.
Yeah, so anyway, this episode sort of revolves around the event in the local town that they're in Missouri called Calhoun Day. That clearly Amy Adams' mum is very much the host of this local history of the American Civil War, the Confederacy, etc. And so, you know, in the Deep South or in the South, you know, there's a sort of a celebration of historical moments, though, as they rightly mention in this episode, are skirting around the details of slavery and all of that kind of stuff. But so this event happens a bit like a school fete in English terms, and around this we have all the characters kind of revolving around these activities. The first bit I didn't quite understand. There's a flashback to the photographer. I mean, this episode, this series hovers over incidentals for a long time.
Yeah,
doesn't
but the photographer scene was extremely important.
Yeah, well, tell me why.
Well, first of all, it was the whole thing about her shoes on the ivory floor. Everything about her child she despised. Everything irritated her. So it's this whole photo shoot, and at the end of the scene, you see Amy Adams look up, and there's the framed article with her mother and her sister. She's not included in it. It's just another illustration of how she's
completely missed that detail.
So it's like you're married to me.
Good job you're here. Yeah. Oh, I didn't see that. Okay. So that happened, and it gave us an ivory floor that really stuck with me as a
God,
detail.
there's something so...
Isn't there chilling about that, literally?
Last a lifetime, it almost has.
So much luxury and a flagrant disregard for life.
Yeah.
Would you not say?
Yeah.
And then around this first part of the episode, Amy's first story has been filed into her editor, with whom she has a curious relationship that you quite rightly said we kind of need a bit more to make sense of it.
I want a bit more context of it. I'd like to have been given more in the first episode as to why they are so close. I mean, maybe it's going to just be revealed towards the end, but I think because we're having to work out so much in this series, I would like to just know more about that relationship.
Because I like him. This is the editor in the newspaper. He's clearly being treated for cancer.
And then his wife that just wafts around.
Well, yes, the woman in the background. Yeah, absolutely. So Amy Adams' story, you know, it inflames hearts, doesn't it? So people, you know, certainly her younger sister, uses it in a much... Who's great. She uses it in a very sort of mischievous way, doesn't she? She sort of flags it up with her mum.
Can I just say again, what a cracking actress she is.
She's great.
Because she really does leave us confused as to whether she is actually sweet and vulnerable as well as terribly
Well, she keeps
difficult.
taking us back to sweet and vulnerable.
Is she scared, or is she ruling the roost?
But she does that thing which is difficult with teenagers. She oscillates between vulnerability and adult sort of sinisterness.
I can stay, you can.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because of course another detail I didn't really pick up was that Amy Adams was packing to leave, which her sister didn't want her to do. But we got a few other little tidbits in part one. Her mother's coded comment about her father.
Yes.
You know, as they were going into the shop, and Amy says that's the first you've really talked about it.
No, the most you've ever said about my
father. So clearly, you know, I can relate to that. Issues of where she comes from and who's her DNA.
It's a good little scene because it showed again the power of her mother. You know, this woman, she takes her to the shop, but the woman's there to open up the shop. And everybody arse licks the mum like you wouldn't believe. She's definitely she's definitely got something on the town.
On everyone.
Yeah.
And then there's this very humiliating scene, and I really felt for Amy's character here, where she's in the changing room looking for a dress for Calhoun Day, and the clothes are sort of removed from the door, and her mother sort of ends up sort of forcing her to kind of open the doors of her changing room. And we see how profoundly self-harmed her body is. With
all over her body.
Words all over it, which clearly echo all the words that we're seeing in so many places and parts of the screen.
Do we put a spoiler alert on these? Basically telling the whole story.
Yeah. Well, we do with every single one. If we
I know, but I've just suddenly thought, do we ever put a spoiler alert on?
Oh, yeah. I mean, no one's complained
I dare you to review it without saying what happened.
Don't listen any more to this review. But then there was that wonderful comment which she made about just towards the end of part 1, where when Amy sort of followed up about her father again, her mother described it, he was all spite.
All spite.
I looked at you and you looked at me and you went, you did that thing that women do, where they go, ooh, that was a sharp one. Wasn't it?
It was very sharp.
So part 2, and it's Calhoun Day, and I like the gaggle of women in this.
Yeah, they're
They're good characters. And then it all got, if I'm honest, it became a bit sort of...
It was just a bit long for me, the whole
just a
Calhoun
bit,
thing.
what's the word?
It was really slow.
It was really slow. It was
a bit
meandering.
dull.
It was meandering.
Even though lots of things happened, there was the fight, there's the suggested rapists leching at the Amy Adams, there was the show, there was the drug taking from the younger sister.
There's the issue.
There was the underlying situation between the police officer's dumpy wife and her loathing of Amy Adams' mum, because clearly they're having an affair. So it was jam-packed, but it was a bit boring.
Well, and also there's the guy with the piano who's taught the girls and the boys to do the show.
Yeah, he's one of the rapists.
Oh, he's one of the rapists, and there's that connection. But it was boring. It was
but
like
it was content-rich.
Yeah.
There was loads in it.
How could it be content-rich and
because
boring?
There was loads in it.
But how could it be content-rich and boring?
It's because I think we just all need, and I don't know if you agree with me, we just need a little bit of something, because it's such a mystery now that we don't know even our own names.
Well, this is episode 5. There are 8 episodes. We have
they
3
need to
more
move
episodes.
it along a bit.
You need to crack along, because if I'm honest, it's a little bit navel-gazing at the moment.
It is.
It's a little bit navel, and I'm more than happy to gaze at Amy Adams' navel, even be
so
it
great,
scarred.
part 2, it looked great. It was there was a lot of lovely stuff to look at. It was, as I said, a lot happened. It was well directed, well acted, but
there was the inference that the sister had taken drugs or something.
No, she did take drugs.
Yeah, but
I
it
just said
didn't
that.
really. It wasn't
she put
really,
it on her tongue,
but it
and she
wasn't
went
really
weird, and she
followed
ran
through,
off.
was it? Though it didn't.
Well, it was a bit.
Yeah, but it still sort of had no consequence. It sort of,
Well, she did. She ran off and she was found
I know,
shaking
but she was found,
shed.
put it back in the bed, and that was that. It's kind of like, well, move it. Obviously, the cliffhanger ending of the last episode wasn't delivered because we were left thinking that perhaps she was dead.
I knew she wasn't dead.
Yeah.
I said that to you at the time, didn't I?
But I
said
thought
it's flashback.
I thought there was a lovely moment where, when the daughter had run off screaming from Calhoun Day, the mum showed her true colours and was just a screaming banshee.
That was really good.
She was really good.
So good. The mother was brilliant.
She's a very,
in
very,
this episode.
very good performer.
Brilliant. She deserves Emmy. Is it Emmy?
Yeah, an Emmy.
Isn't it?
An Emmy. Yeah. Yeah, and then again, there was another conversation with Amy's mum about her father, and yet again, the mother just hammers another nail into the poor personality that is Amy Adams. And she says, you never get close, you can't get close, that's your father, you were born into it, that cold nature. I just thought that was so mean.
Horrible.
But this is what some families do. Families define people, and I wonder whether these marks that are on her are the words that have been used to define her by her mum.
Yeah.
Ripe,
well, families are cults.
Families are cults. But also, and we fall foul of it, all families decide children are a certain thing. And the chance for change and the chance for evolution is often closed down. So for me, I thought, watching this one tonight, I thought, well, one must always shy away from saying that your child is good at that, or is one for this, or is particularly... No, they're not scientific, they're not emotional, they're not humorous. We're all things at all times.
Have you gone into how you feel?
Oh, yeah, I got...
This is a review. Move on.
I got very defensive of Amy Adams.
Okay, move on.
Thanks for that. Anyway, so she heads off to meet Detective Man, and they have some more rampant sex.
Yeah.
And we see a crucifix on his back, which I thought was quite interesting, but you guys didn't.
He's got a crucifix.
He's got a big crucifix on his back.
I don't think it was.
Anyway, and there was the word closer on her hip whilst they were doing the doobry. So episode 6 comes, and
we missed the bit where the mum says, "Please come and have a drink with me down on the porch." actually, I really like it. And you're like, oh, she's going to be nice. And this was such a lovely moment because this is the truth. Whatever people do to their kids, they seem to forgive them. So she sits in the porch and her mum starts to apologise. She says, you don't need to. She softens, doesn't she? Amy Adams thinks this is a moment with her mum and she says, I'm sorry. I never loved you.
It was so horrible. So horrible.
You're like your father. I can't say father in American. You're like your father.
You were born into that cold nature.
You're born into that cold nature. No one could get close, and that's why I never loved you.
That's nice.
Brutal.
Thanks, Mum.
Brutal.
Thanks, Mum. You do not want a mother like
her. It may
her.
sound we've been a bit down on this episode. It was still a great episode, but I just do need a wee bit more.
I just want it to crack. I want it to move a bit. Got 3 hours left. Come on, get cracking.
Get cracking.